Yeah, as Ify mentioned that in traditional software development, you need to handle a lot of things to build a web application, right? And PyWebIO is trying to simplify that. Basically, the goal is if you have a function or script, right, you plug into the PyWebIO framework, and you're able to launch your web tools as fast as you can. Just a couple examples. There's people using PyWebIO to build a data monitoring tool, data management tool, database portal, and chatbot. And here, in this workshop, we're going to show you or do a demo how to build a dashboard like this, right? Within, a simple dashboard like this, we can check out demo. So you have a, couple of sections. You can have a very fancy automation, animations. You can also have this kind of geo view of your data, and you have some drop-down menus, and then you can have some interaction, right? If you push this button, something shows up. Two type of API PyWebIO support. One is we call skeleton, layout system. So we have this API called put grid, put row, put column, right? Basically, you can see they're very easy to handle, right? It's easy to call. And if you want to build a page layout like this, you have 3 columns, and the first column you have 3 rows, and then on the second row you have 3 columns again, right? Those kind of page layouts tend to be very hard to build if you use HTML or other framework. So this is the skeleton API, and then there's another content API. You have a skeleton, but think about you need something placeholder to fill out that skeleton, right? This is the scope use case. Let's check the code before we keep going. So I built a very simple one using our platform, right? You can also do it on your local if you install PyWebIO. Yeah, you see this layout is very simple, right? You have a first row, and then you have second row, and in the second row you have a different columns, right? And then you have a third row, and you have fifth row, etc. Right? Very similarly here, you use this put grid. Put grid is kind of combination of put column and put row, right? So here in put grid, right, we define list, right? You see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements in the list representing the 6 rows, right? The first row, we put section A here. It's a row. It's a single column in this row, but the column is supposed to have 3 columns. But we use this span to show, hey, this for first column, the only thing is a section A. So that's the first row. The second row, see, we have 3 different columns, right? You have a chart 1, chart 2, and chart 3. So are this 3 columns. And then in the third column, you start wanting to put something of either a chart or some kind of paragraph. In the first cell, I'm going to put a markdown. This markdown is defined here, right? It's a string, and then you put a scope here, right? You can think of the scope as a placeholder, right? I put a scope here. I put another scope here. I'm going to tell later, hey, what I'm going to put into the scope. Third column, you put another, very long section B. Instead of using this for all 3 cells, you say, okay, I'm going to let it occupy 2 cells. So that's the span does. And on the next cell, you just put section C, etc. Right? You can see how this is constructed, and you can just keep going like this. And here I have this image link. It's like this. So I'm gonna go. I'm going to call this image, and if I run it, I can see it's all shown here, right? So, and the reason it's showing here, we can also share it. You can see the column. I mean, the entire thing is like this. It's not very pretty, but it's very similar to what we want. So the next couple of steps we want to do is, okay, we think the dark theme is pretty cool, so we just turn on this. I would say, hey, instead of white background, I want a dark background because all my images are dark background. It's fit my theme. And also here you can see PyWebIO default only occupy the center of the 80% of the page. And then here, because I'm doing a dashboard, I want the dashboard to be a full page application. So I define, okay, I want to put I want to use 90% of the page to display my dashboard. And then you run it. Here you refresh this, you will see dashboard is occupying the 90% of the page. So far we use 30 for line of code. Let's add a couple more, and I happen to have a chart. It's a GDP chart. You can see from here to here, right? What it does is it pull some kind of data frame from some data source, and I do a plot, right? The first one is it's a figure, and the second one is animation. Instead of putting a static page, a static image, we just replace this with those API calls. If you refresh your chart, it shows very nice, data visualization, right? This is the dashboard you can use to track your metrics. You can use to monitor your database, etc. Right? There's a lot of use case you can use in your daily work. Right? And I'm going to stop here, right? So really quick, I wrap up. So there's two type of functions. One is skeleton function to help you to make that layout stand out, and then this content function, it's content API called scope. Right? You use that to as a placeholder, and then you can update that scope accordingly, right? And put different things into different cells. And using those kind of combination of these two type of API, you're free to build a lot of interesting dashboard.